Terry Schwartz here from IGN with Alicia Vikander, the star of Tomb Raider. Thank you so much for coming by today.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here at a gamer's platform to get to release our trailer finally.
I know, we're about like 10 minutes out from the trailer dropping, which we'll be watching and then talking about after the fact. But I think just fans are so excited about what we've seen so far of the new Tomb Raider movie, clearly inspired by the 2013 Square Enix game.
Yes.
And I love that you're a fan of the Tomb Raider games as well. Talk to me a little bit about your relationship with the franchise.
Well, you know, I was a young girl. I was maybe, I don't know, between 8 and 10 during that time when the first game had just come out, and I didn't have a PlayStation at home, but I had, because it was PlayStation back then, right? It was. But it was my dad's like friends' kids who had one, and their sons played, and I was like looked in, and I remember it so well because I'd never seen a woman being the female, you know, a female protagonist in a video game. And I kind of sat in the back and they kind of let me play the, not the real game, they said you can play in the manor.
And now you're like, look at me now.
Yeah, you know, but I later on did play as, I did play some of the first and the second game, and even, 2007 I got the chance to actually, that was kind of when I reminded myself of the first game because I got the anniversary game.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did it mean for you to get the role of Lara Croft, someone who has inspired a lot of people? She was like the female protagonist in games for a long time.
It feels like a great honor, really. I know it was also nerve-wracking because it is, like you said, it's a character that most women or most people know about. Even my mum was like, "Yeah, that's the Angelina Jolie movie." I was like, "Yeah, that's right." You know,
you're like, "Excuse me, Mom." I think you mean the Alicia Vikander movie.
Yes. So you know, she's really become an icon. So I was extremely thrilled.
Some fans obviously really excited that this is sort of the first time that you get to engage with them. Though you said you did meet some fans on set, right? Who came and sort of came from the gaming space.
Yeah, I mean, it was so exciting. We were actually shooting on the Endurance on that day, and it was, a lot of stunts going on, but I was like looking, because I knew they were going to come to set. They were being taken around on a tour. They showed them the different kind of weapons and some of the studios where we do the stunts. But, when I finally got to see them, I'm just, maybe because I grew up being a girl and just in a generation where, I didn't really feel comfortable saying to my friends that I played video games, and most of my girlfriends, when I was like, maybe we can, play, and they were like, what? And I was like, no, just kidding. And then to see, like, nowadays it's such a community, and it was a lot of girls and some guys, and how they kind of connect and they share their interest and their passion for these different games. And I mean, I kind of walked up and didn't even think of it, and they were like, you have that scratch on your nose that she has in the game, and and I was so happy because that was little things that we wanted to honor, that we had gone back to when we developed the character for this film, and it was so amazing to see that they did recognize that, and that they seemed to enjoy those little Easter eggs and features.
Yeah, that's actually, we did a call for some fan questions, and Andrea S007744 specifically, hello, wants to know, like, did you play the new Tomb Raider games that this movie is based on, and sort of how did that influence you?
Yes, so before I met Roar, our director, I hadn't played the new game, but I had kind of, leading up to that, I knew that they would talk. It was talks about making this film, and I heard about the game, so then I kind of looked it up, and then I started to play it just before I met him. And I remember that he had also played it, so we talked about a lot of the references from the game, and then I continued when I was actually shooting. I had both a PlayStation in my trailer and at my house, so I wanted to be really immersed in that whole world and know that, of course, we want to make a film that it's its own thing, and that hopefully will take the audience also on a journey that is new and exciting, but that honor the game.
Yeah, we can definitely relate to the fun of getting to play video games on the job.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
But we did, we saw sort of like a 15-second tease of the trailer, and in that, I know you shot in South Africa and you shot in London as well, but the stunts just, what we did see, it looked awesome. Can you talk a little bit about preparing for those and sort of taking on the physicality of Lara Croft?
What I like, especially with the game, the 2013 game, is that it's so much this, she has all the aspects of the character that we know. She's fierce. She's a badass action hero, but she's also a regular girl inside. She is not afraid of showing her emotions, and we get very close to her. So when it came to the action, it was very much something that was important was that it was based in reality. So I wanted this to be a girl of our time, but who is interested in physicality, and you'll see that in the film that is part of her background and also her interest back in London before she ends up going on her adventures. So that all the actions could, it was really like a red thread and a true journey throughout the film of her having that physicality, but then getting the tools and the experience to actually go out there and become the action hero that we so well know.
Yeah, and I'm excited. We're getting close to the trailer now. It's coming soon. But we did have another fan question from Alicia Vikander. Wants to know.
Really?
Yeah, that was the name with the T at the end. How was it for you to work on sort of a completely different type of film than anything you've done before? Obviously, you've done sci-fi with Ex Machina and a lot of sort of prestigious dramas, but this is a full-on action movie for you.
It's been a kid's dream, really. I mean, I grew up and I watched. I don't know how many times I watched Indiana Jones. I loved The Mummy. I saw that several
times. The Brendan Fraser one is incredible.
I actually worked with Rachel Weisz 2 years ago, and I really got to tell her. I was like, that was one of my first favorite films. To be part of, stepping into the world of adventure in this way, and also I had a background of dancing, and I think I've always wanted to take on a role which is extremely physical and get to do that preparation and do this amount of stunt work. So
what do you think is key to sort of taking a story from a video game and an experience that is sort of like someone playing it and bringing it to the big screen in a successful, exciting way?
I think it's important, that we go to the root of who Lara Croft as a character is, what made her become this iconic character that she is. And I think, it's that element of her being extremely, she's intelligent, she's fast, she's fierce, she has an ability to always stand up even though she falls. And, she has an immense amount of willpower and is a very strong female character. So we wanted to, be true to that and then have beats in the film that I hope people are going to recognize from the game, and then to surprise the audience and hopefully give them an adventure and even more and a deeper kind of insight to the character that they already love.
What was key to you for really getting into the mindset of Lara Croft and making her your own sort of version of the character?
I think, it's always a tricky thing when you make a character that people already, very well know, because at some point you kind of have to let go of that fear and nerves of doing that to kind of feel like, you find a way to becoming her on set and you know how she feels. And I could very much relate. I think this is a character that people will connect with because she's a young girl who's trying to find her footing in the world. So she is not maybe, the action hero because she doesn't know it herself in the beginning. So I really wanted to have all these fears, what's the word? Aspects of her personality, and yet not be afraid of showing the vulnerable side, which is the real girl.
I love that, and I love that. I think that we've seen in a lot of the games she is like a full-fledged Tomb Raider. So I'm curious, what was sort of the element of transforming that for you and sort of building up her believably from being...
For me, I took a lot from the first game. It's really kind of a big emotional... For me, it was a big emotional impact because she's actually killing her first animal and her first person, and it's a reaction to it.
Oh, interesting.
It's not only that it happens. I love that it has its consequences, and that is the one step that makes her become the survivor that she truly is, and the warrior.
Well, awesome. That is like the perfect way to set up what we're about to see. It's finally time to debut the Tomb Raider trailer, so let's take a look and then stay tuned because we're going to unpack it with Alicia after this. So check it out, the Tomb Raider trailer.
What's your name?
Lara
Surname?
Croft. Lara, your father's gone. You can pick up where he left off. I see so much of him in you. Brilliant.
Hello, Sprout. If you're listening to this, then I must be dead. I found something, a tomb called the Mother of Death. If Trinity succeeds, our world is in danger. Promise me you will stop them.
I promise.
I think I know where my dad went.
That's right in the middle of the Devil's Sea.
It will be an adventure.
Death is not an adventure.
You shouldn't have come here. But I'm glad that you did.
What do you know about my father?
Now I see the likeness, the recklessness.
Close the tomb once and for all. The fate of humanity is now in your hands.
Can't be too careful these days. The world has gone bloody mad.
I'll take two.
Well, that is quite the 2 minutes of a trailer. What was your reaction to seeing that for the first time? Because I'm sure you've seen it many times before.
I had seen it a few times before, but no, I mean, it's always like a strange bit of magic that happens when you finally see a film cut together, because of course for us making the film it's months of work and preparation, but with this film I mean I was so excited throughout this whole process, so to finally see the first kind of 2.5 minutes cut together, I think they did a very good job.
And it's interesting too, like what you were just speaking to about her evolution from being an everyday girl to a full-on Tomb Raider. I mean, we see that when she gets to the island and she's already started transforming. But I think people will really like. I mean, we saw a lot of the endurance Shipwreck, and that's straight from the game. So talk a little bit about shooting that scene. I imagine it wasn't easy.
I must say, I mean, we did a lot of stunts. There was a lot of preparation, and both me and my incredible stunt girls that I was working with, we were quite bruised, and it's a lot of hits, and you know that's tough, but that's okay. The trickiest thing of all, I think, while shooting this film is actually the cold that comes from being in water for hours and hours and hours.
Did you shoot that on location, or was that like on a rig?
Both. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Some of the, when we had to fire off tons of water cannons, we had to be on a stage and on a rig.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, because you can't have too much steam and you can't heat that much, a large amount of water. It didn't come from a pool either, so it was just cold. And, you know, after 10 minutes, you're just... it started to creeps up on you, and then you have another 7-8 hours to do stunt in that. So that was probably, I mean, I'm so happy to know that it was all worth it.
Because it looks awesome.
Yeah, and I was excited already when I read about it in the script, but I was like, that's going to be tough, but fun.
When you have a scene like that literally is a level in the game, do you go back and sort of prep by playing through the level beforehand, or do you just sort of work with Roar on it?
I didn't, I mean, I had the game on set. I don't think I played it on that day because, it started 4 or 5, especially those days were very intense. But during the preparation process, I sat down with Roar, and we always had the imagery from the game that we kind of looked at.
Was there any particular scene in that trailer that was your favorite to shoot? Because you have the action, you have some of the more comedic moments, a little bit more serious.
My favorite... I really love the pawn shop that you see in the end of the film. That was fun. That's,
And that's an Easter egg, too, to the other movie. You have the braid, you have the dual pistols.
Yeah, we talked about, that was also an idea we had quite, early in the beginning. It was like, that could be fun, and it also maybe leads on to another adventure, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm curious, what is sort of the balance in the movie between those action-packed beats and the comedic moments that we see with Nick at the end?
Yeah, it's always it can be a tricky thing, but I think it's, with these films, I love going to the cinema to watch an adventure and to kind of leave reality behind and being taken on this big journey. And I think our film has really tried to, make people feel the relationship between Lara and her dad that she goes to find and their kind of relationship, and that is, real, and that you hopefully will get, emotionally engaged in that story. And then you just need to release sometimes with some big stunt and action scenes and some laughs, hopefully.
Well, I love in the trailer that, you're a gamer, you're playing through the levels, you fall, Lara Croft dies, she revives, she comes
That's
back
what I
later.
said. I was like, how many lives do I have?
But I love in the trailer, like, we see those moments where she sort of does fall, like we see it in that one scene, and she does sort of stumble. So what is sort of the gradation of Lara becoming the expert Tomb Raider we know and players will be by the end of the game when they've completed it? Like, do you lean into her having missteps on her adventures?
Yes, very much. Like I said, I love the fact that, she's a girl from London in the beginning, and that she kind of has, the true kind of power and abilities of Lara Croft within her. She just doesn't know that they're there and that she can use them in the way that she does on this adventure that she just happens to fall right into, and which is kind of part of her destiny too, she finds out. So we love the fact that we wanted to kind of, in a natural way, find ways of how she would end up maybe climbing something for the first time, in a natural way. And you will hopefully be like, so that's why she did that the first time.
Right.
And she doesn't know yet that she'll do that a lot more times.
I want to see what her meet cute is with the ice pick. Like,
yeah, like, you want to know the story about how she found it, and, yeah.
Let's talk about the weapons a little bit too, because especially in the 2013 game and its sequel, like the bow and arrow and the ice pick have become so iconic. We see them in the trailer. What was it like learning to fight with those? Because I bet they're a bit non-traditional, especially the ice pick to have to shoot scenes with.
I must say, maybe it's not the most effective of weapons, the ice pick, but it's one of the most badass looking things I've seen. I remember when I saw it in the game, I was like, wow, that's really effective. And it's, looks scary and beautiful in the same way. Yeah, and it also is very raw. I mean, it's like you just have to go at it with one of those. I use a lot of force.
Was that your favorite, or did you have a particular favorite weapon?
I think the ice pick was my favorite. Yeah.
Now, how much do you get to use that in the movie? I don't want you to give away too many of the set pieces, but do you end up leaning on one or the other? Or is it sort of like in the games where you can, go through your entire arsenal that you have on you?
No, I think it's, she's more of you'll see the intelligence and the ability she has to be quick. These things are not that, she doesn't go into this journey being prepared. She is, I love the fact that she's stripped of experience, but she goes through this journey, and we will see how she finds these different tools. And it's always about, okay, now I need to get out of this situation. What do I do? Maybe I'll find this, maybe I use that. And I love that you will see the intelligence within that of her discovering tools that she can use as weapons.
Now, you can't have a Tomb Raider movie without a tomb, and we get to see a sneak peek of it in here, some sort of her like coming down and exploring. Yeah. What was it like being in that set? I imagine it was amazing.
I think, nowadays you kind of assume that a lot of films are made, with CGI and green screen to the fully almost, and I kind of thought that maybe would have been the case with our film as well. And instead we had this amazing production designer who built everything. So, I mean, I remember Walton Goggins and I, he plays the villain in the film, we both had talked about how much we loved adventure films growing up. And we kind of had a day when we almost held hands. And we were like, oh my God, it's the Tomb. And we walked through, and everything was there to look at, and it was so, they really used the whole space of that studio, and I really felt like the kid who got excited seeing that on film, and now I got to walk through it. I even brought some friends and their kids to set.
Yeah.
I was like, but I was like, it's scary. I was like, there is a lot of scary stuff in here. They were like, it's just a dead body. I was like, it's just a skeleton. I was like, okay.
You're like, it's getting to me. It's become very real. Have you started having interactions like that with fans where they come up and they're like, you're Lara Croft, or are you ready for that?
I think until now, we've been holding back. So this will be the big reveal, hopefully, when we release the trailer. But yeah, I mean, if girls would come up and say that, I just hope that I will be able to live up to, partly of the character that they so much
I
love.
love, and especially in 2017, we've really had this great renaissance of like female action heroes from Wonder Woman and Atomic Blonde and everything, and 2018 is shaping up as well. What does it mean to you to be embodying a character who will inspire a new generation of people?
I was still on a set in our last few days, I think, when Wonder Woman came out, and I went to the cinema myself and watched it, and I was just thrilled, to see that kind of success, and just the fact that I was a bit baffled by the fact that I had such a strange or a big reaction to the fact that I hadn't seen like a combat like in the beginning of the film with just women, and I almost felt a bit embarrassed too, because I always see myself as wanting to talk about this issue and wanting to be aware, and yet I'm sitting here and realize I've never seen it before, and I think, it was a big moment. So to be part of these movies coming out with female characters in the lead, I feel very honored.
I always say it's going to feel really real to you when you go to a Comic-Con and you show up and you see people dressed up as you, as Lara Croft, and then it all sort of congeals then.
Also, I'm the biggest fan of Comic-Con. I haven't been there now for 2-3 years. But it's just extraordinary.
I mean, you should go as Lara Croft, right? Just like make it full circle, make it all come together. Well, Alicia, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. It's such a pleasure. I'm so glad we got to share the Tomb Raider trailer with the world. We actually have another really cool exclusive. If you come back to IGN at 9 a.m. Pacific tomorrow, that's Wednesday, we actually have a trailer director commentary breakdown with your director, Or Uthag, which I'm probably butchering that pronunciation.
That was actually very good.
Was it? I wrote down phonetical on my notes. So that's really exciting. We have more Tomb Raider, plenty more to come. It hits theaters March 16th, 2018. Alicia, thank you so much. We're going to toss it one more time. You waited this long. You can watch the trailer again. Here's the Tomb Raider trailer.
Thank you so much.